Hi, I'm Stevie,
And Callum.
and this is the High Ground Podcast. This is Halloween, and so we're starting this month with commentaries because we want to just do this since we enjoy doing them. And we're starting with Halloween,
OG Halloween.
original 1978, John Carpenter, made for $300,000.
Yeah. And I think at the time was the most successful independent film of all time,
Nice.
possibly.
So they're raking about 78 million.
Yeah.
78 million.
I think until Blair Witch it was one of the most
So-
profitable films. I mean, I don't know if you count Star Wars as independent.
I think that I think it was a studio flick up until Empire Strikes Back, so
And there's our one Star Wars reference.
that's our Star Wars reference. So as always, I'm going to count down 3, 2, 1, and I'll hit the play button. So 3, 2, 1, and it's already running. Okay, I'm going to go back again. We'll do this for now. 3, 2, 1, play. So Halloween, I've got it. It was you who got me into horror again because of Danny McBride doing the Halloween.
Just doing my missionary work.
Yeah, and the Danny McBride one, the written one,
The 2018.
2018, and this music reminds me of Psycho, which is also around, also Jaws.
Yeah,
The din 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 din.
It is going to be, isn't it? And it's quite strange because John Carpenter does all the soundtracks to his own films, obviously.
Yeah.
He works with a guy called Alan Howarth a lot of the time, from Halloween 2 onwards. But he did this song in I'm not a musician, so I don't understand, but 5/8 timing, which is a really weird sort of staccato sound, which is why it sounds so distinctive.
Works.
A little bit of trivia for you.
Wow. It works to different timing. Though.
Yeah, it does. It's sort of eerie and otherworldly, isn't it?
Yeah. I love the pumpkin, and you've got the 2018. You've got
It's
the
reinflating.
Yeah, bringing back the shape, the evil. Well, I didn't realise until I watched a documentary on the DVD, an old DVD of Friday the 13th, was that the writer of Friday the 13th actually watched Halloween
Yeah.
and wrote down what made it work,
Yeah.
and then based Friday the 13th on it.
Loads of horror writers at the time actually just went to this and said, right, how do we do this? How do we replicate this, the success of this?
I just want to say Dean Cundy, who did Back to the Future and The Thing.
Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Did he do The Thing as well?
Yeah, he was a Carpenter collaborator for a few films, and he switched to a guy called Gary...
Music by John Carpenter.
Shit, what's the guy's name? IMDb.
I gotta tell you, watching Halloween on the big screen is superb.
Yeah,
That's what we're doing.
I've seen it at our local cinema.
Yeah.
Me and the missus went to see it. And she gave the obligatory girlfriend thing of, haven't you seen this already?
Oh, I'm kind of lucky because
That's not the point.
Yeah. My boss is. We have a projector, so the pre-COVID, so we could actually watch classic movies. Haddonfield,
and
Illinois.
they're really good, aren't they?
Oh yes. You know, I was always afraid with something like this we'd get into the whole thing of just watching it because it is so. The house again, Elm Street.
Yeah. That house was actually dilapidated, and they rebuilt the bottom and top rooms just for this shot, and then they had to restore it to how it looked. No, sorry, they did this shot last.
Yeah.
Because the actual Myers house was an abandoned house, so they actually built basically the inside of a house.
And it's all done up now again because I was watching movies that made us on Netflix. It's kind of weird doing it in reverse.
Yeah, it is very strange. Let's cast. Oh, there we go. Get ready for the quickest sex scene you've ever seen in your life. The amount of time this guy gets up and down the stairs is unreal. He needs to teach me. Gary K. Gibb. Kibb was the guy I was thinking of. He was Carpenter's collaborator from, I think it was They Live onwards.
Oh, Steadicam. Apparently that cost a lot of money and blew a lot of the budget on it, but it works.
It was quite wasn't it quite new at the time as
It
well?
was.
Dean Cundy's just amazing.
He is.
Director of photography, isn't
He is. I mean, I think like I said, with the likes of this and the thing. I mean, the
Oh.
fluidity. The Steadicam works perfectly.
I always think no one does emptiness like Carpenter, like empty corridors, empty houses, and makes it feel scary.
So I go back to the music.
Yeah.
Scoring your own movie,
Yeah.
you get it how you want it. So it's, I mean, film is a collaborative effort, but when you've got someone who has a vision and that can do it, it's
He does it with his son now, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Really, Carpenter.
doing Halloween Kills and
Yeah.
2018 Halloween.
Keeps that sort of tradition and continuity with it as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But knowing that John Carpenter's there somewhere.
It's like saying you know, in the 80s, Michael Myers sadly was second fiddle to Freddy and Jason.
He became like what they ate off of him, didn't he?
Yeah.
Essentially. See, quickest shag ever. Yeah, yeah, he sort of became like, yeah, like I mean, the slasher genre got to the point of where Friday the 13th was probably the main thing that you thought of, wasn't it? The bad guy keeps getting up again, and Freddy as well, and I think it sort of demystified Michael, didn't it?
Yeah. I mean, one thing, when I found out, that the writers of Friday actually stole the idea from him. It's like copying someone's homework but missing out the heart. And
Yeah.
I just finished watching the 8 Fridays and the remake, and the first 8 Fridays and the remake, and after the first one, essentially, you don't really care about the characters, but
No.
and it's more about body count.
Yeah. You're always supposed to sympathise with the killer more, aren't you? I think, or you're
Yeah.
supposed to cheer for him, or
I would point out, because they only have a certain amount of time on the stick, so I found out this yesterday from Movies That Made Us. The bit where he puts the mask on is where they had to
the cut.
do the reel, yeah.
Because there is like a myth that this is all one cut. There are 2 cuts. I can never work out what the second one is.
And how the producers didn't want any blood, so that's pretty much the only blood you'll see on top of her then. But
It's quite a bloodless era, really, for all the big slashers. I mean, you think of like Halloween, you think of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. There's no blood in those films, but they're still 18s and they're still banned in some countries.
I think it goes like the whole thing with. I mean, I think especially after watching the movies that made us yesterday, is you got Psycho,
Yeah.
which of course you got the famous shower scene where you don't see anything. Then you got Jaws. Michael's face as
Yeah,
a child,
when
really
I-
the only
when
time.
Yeah, and at the end of the film as well.
Yeah. The first and only
Yeah.
full on.
The only time you ever see him. Yeah.
Yeah, you've got another, and the imagery of the clown costume and the knife.
I like as well how like everything around him seems to have just frozen.
Yeah.
You know, like the mum and dad are just staring. It's like a moment frozen in time as you zoom out.
It's superb. But I was like, you got Psycho,
Yeah.
you've got Jaws, and you've got Halloween.
Yeah.
John Carpenter's Halloween, and they all seem to follow the whole keep the monster in the dark, keep it all, leave it to the imagination. And I think that with say Friday the 13th, it is all about gruesome and gore.
Yeah.
And that's. I remember watching 2018's, and you care about the characters, even if it's someone that's just about to be murdered that just appeared on screen a few seconds before. You don't want the person to be done. You're terrified of Michael Myers.
Yeah.
Or the Shape.
It
And-
needed that brass tacks return, I think, didn't it? Because it. I mean, I've said it already, 5 minutes in, but it's a genre that encourages you to side with the killer, isn't it?
Yeah.
And Dario Argento made a career out of this.
Mm.
People always just say to him like, "Yeah, you're a misogynist because you kill women in your films," and I really like his response was always hilarious because he said something like, he says, "Well, would you rather look at a beautiful mummy and kill her an ugly man?"
Yeah.
I always thought, like, he's got it. Like, that's what people wanted to see. And it's not sick, but I think it's like it's a purely 80s thing, wasn't it? It was the era of the special effects as well,
Yeah.
wasn't it? So let's see how much, like, what we can do with these kills, like, rather than here, they maybe didn't have the budget for it.
No.
Whereas you had Tom Savini, the master,
Yeah.
still is the master.
Oh, he's brilliant. And look at it. Didn't he train up K&D?
Yeah, definitely Howard Berger and
Greg
Greg
Nicotero.
Nicotero.
And we're brought in this one where we are with Loomis.
Blofeld.
Blofeld. And he's a DHX 1138 as well.
Yeah.
How it's all setting up that he's been the Doctor and he and Michael Myers, the Shape, is evil. He's pure evil, and he's been incarcerated ever since the one murder.
Yeah.
And it's something that the director of who's the one of 18?
Sorry.
The director of 2018.
Oh, David Gordon Green.
Yeah, you can tell he's a student, and he's actually studied him, and of course Danny McBride. They've studied this.
Yeah.
So that with a lot of the exposition, I mean, the throwaway line about isn't Michael Laurie's brother? No, that's just
something someone made up. Yeah.
And the podcasters at the start, and you get everything you need to know, all the exposition out of the way.
Yeah. So
you can hit on with the story. So
I kind of like the whole sort of. I can't help but think it's like a double jab joke. That how popular like true crime podcasts are now.
Yeah.
They actually get killed by the guy that they're investigating.
Yeah.
It's just amazing as well, that scene right at the start when he's just standing there and he holds the mask up and like cuts to the music. It's so great.
I like how they turned Michael into a monster.
Yeah, he should be. He's the boogeyman.
Yeah,
wasn't he? Like there was never any explanation for why he can take like a revolver, a chest full of revolver rounds. Like he just can. It's not like Jason where he's like basically a zombie.
He's a zombie now,
and Freddy's just a demon.
Yeah. I mean, the less of the body count and the suspense and everything and the music.
Yeah.
It's
the atmosphere as well.
Yeah.
I mean, even like you might consider it hammy now, but the way Donald Pleasance is like, the evil is gone. Shit's gonna go down now. Also named Sam Loomis after Psycho, isn't he? I'm pretty sure.
Dean Cundy is, it's like the art of filmmaking. This
he's fantastic.
It's
making a California street look like a awesome Chicago street.
You
can
lie,
actually see palm trees in the background.
Ooh.
If you look on this scene, I think.
And then they only had like 3 pumpkins, and they had to use something else.
Yeah, we had to brush all the leaves up after every shot as well.
Yeah. Jamie Lee Curtis.
The one and only.
And whose mother, Janet Leigh,
was in The Granddaddy.
Oh yes.
Every time you ever see Laurie's parents as well, I think. I'm sure. One of them.
But the parents aren't around.
No.
And this is another thing that came out. This is you create the villain by creating his backstory. So they got the terror. You don't have the parents.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
And doing drugs, stuff that they shouldn't be doing. So it sets it all up.
So I think she was like 17 here.
Yeah.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Oh, she's brilliant in Knives Out.
I was just about to say, if you want a great performance by her, I think she's just great overall. I've always loved Jamie Lee Curtis. First boobs I ever saw as well.
Trading Places.
Trading Places, yeah. There's palm trees in the background, right at the back there. We're annoying Ellen away.
I saw pictures from the Halloween Kills a party that they had, and she's dressed up as her mother.
Oh right.
Psycho. I found out because I follow her on Instagram. I've got it's Knives Out. She was just superb in Knives Out.
I think she's great in everything. I've got a lot of time for Jamie Lee Curtis. I always have.
I am Inga from Sweden. Aren't we Lederhosen?
She's like the original Scream Queen as well.
Oh
really.
yeah.
She's like,
And True Lies with Arnold
oh,
Schwarzenegger.
I absolutely love True Lies. It's criminal they never made a sequel for that.
He went on to do Titanic and that.
Yeah.
Yeah, those films. Avatar. So James Cameron, you're better than Avatar.
Very much so.
I like it. The framing of Michael Myers, The Shape.
Just the breathing as well, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
it's just unsettling. Film like horrors don't really do this anymore. They don't build the dread. They just fire it at you and jump scares.
I'm a big fan of traditional.
Yeah,
Like, I really
definitely.
am.
When it comes to horror,
yeah.
100%.
And I think that it's just cheap. If you want to put gore into a film, I mean, just to shock people.
No. I mean, I do have fun with gory films, but they're never really serious, are they? Like, there's always that undertone that it's fake violence. Whereas I think when you don't see blood, it's scarier on your mind because you are imagining the blood.
I think I think there's a lot of especially with the later horror films of the 80s, is desensitization towards violence, which I know compared to what we have now with video games, and a lot of the stuff that appears on TV. This is tame. You know, this is an 80s certificate, but you see worse on TV. People can get access to worse.
Game of Thrones,
like
or Walking Dead, or
but if you
how they reversed this scene in 2018, where it's Laurie outside watching the granddaughter.
There's a lot of reversals because she's becomes the boogeyman to Michael Myers.
Yeah,
and it's you can tell when people have put their heart into it and actually understand the material, the source material.
Yeah, because references really work when there is a point to them.
Yeah.
Is our establishment that Laurie is the nerdy kid.
Yeah.
Or the nerdiest of her friends, anyway.
Because all the other ones are us smoking pot and having sex.
Yeah.
She's babysitting. And doing her job right, whereas a babysitting one, which we'll see later. Even I just would say, I mean, this is after finding out that they spend most of the budget on the steady cam, and you see shots like this of just behind the fence.
Right.
It's
sad because a lot of photography now, like I think a lot of CG replicates the movements a bit. You know, when you have like a CG shot, there's no way the camera can be there, is there?
No.
So you can tell there's some sort of fakeness happening. Whereas here, like, I can imagine Dean Cundy on a little dolly.
Yeah.
Doing it.
You can feel the depth of the
Yeah.
shot rather than it.
How clever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you know anything on this channel by now, then this podcast by now, it's that we are a fan of traditional.
Yeah.
When it comes to films, I'm not against CG at all. I'm against its over reliance. I love the fact that the bully gets scared the shit out of her.
I just like you don't know we don't see his face. I like it how it's just like it's and the pacing to actually get to brain freeze here. Let's go to get Nick Castle. Yeah, him the shape, whatever you want to go, which is classed as a shape. How you just see the upper part of his torso in his boiler jacket or boiler thing.
You don't need to know that he's the bad guy. That's.
But look at this. Look at the shot from the car. You see the grating from two sides of the police car.
Yeah.
And then you're watching through the grating in the back seat. That's voyeuristic.
Restriction as well with the cage.
Yeah.
Like you can only see what.
So you're in the cage and the monster's running the show.
Yeah.
And watching this kid. It's
Do you know what? It's always been such an influential film to me that I actually don't question the fact that Michael knows how to drive suddenly.
Yeah. I was thinking that yesterday. It's like
Yeah.
how, you know,
There's like theories that he's maybe been in the car with Loomis before and
Yeah.
watched him, but it doesn't really matter anyway. If you ever get the chance to see the television version of this, it's quite interesting because they keep a few deleted scenes in, obviously to pad it out because
Yeah.
they have to take a lot of the violence out. And there's a scene where you see the actual scene what Loomis was referring to earlier, where he's telling the parole board that they cannot let this boy out, like, ever. And it's where they sort of poo-poo him and say, whatever, it's just your patient, doctor, like, he's 27 or whatever, like, how much more therapy do you think he needs? You know, that sort of, like, the whole Jaws Mayer thing.
Yeah. I like how Loomis is warning the police in Haddonfield, and it's sort of
Chief Brody syndrome,
Yeah.
I always call it. And they don't listen to you.
and he's a nut job. No one could be that evil,
Yeah.
and you got the car there and the rampage has already begun.
I like the Will Patton's character in 2018.
Yeah.
How he sort of said, I was there on that night, but I was just a deputy. So, like, he could be any of the policemen.
And he's the one that let him go.
Yeah.
Or let him live, should I say, rather than killing him.
BJ Souls, married to Dennis Quaid.
Ah.
Or dated him. I don't know if she was married to him. She says totally about 1,000,000 times in this film. Like, is a drinking game to do with fun. She says totally.
I'm sorry, this is we can't get to the knack of just watching this.
You can with this film, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
It's since I started seriously doing photography and framing of shots,
Yeah.
you actually appreciate more the art form of what it comes into actually.
Oh, yeah,
I know movies and photography are different mediums, but
Similar though, aren't they? I
It's-
mean, like,
yeah.
the framing's all the same. I think, like, you
Yeah.
need to get a particular shot with lighting and stuff like that.
I love films that are done on such a low budget that they have to improvise.
Forces you to, think about how to. Well, I think the master of that's probably Robert Rodriguez, isn't it?
Yes.
I mean, Carpenter as well, but he never made it. It's criminal that he never made it like he should have mainstream. But I think now he's more. Everyone sort of considers him as an amazing director now.
I think, and this goes for George Romero and Christopher Lee. I know Christopher Lee's an actor, but Romero, Carpenter, Christopher Lee were all put into and Wes Craven as well.
Yeah, Wes Craven, yeah.
They were all put into a box saying you can only do this. Christopher
Yeah.
Lee's your horror. It was you're all horror. We don't want you to do anything other than horror. Your audience is horror. We don't accept
Yeah.
anything that's not horror. But I think today, if someone a director wants to try something different, audiences are more open to it.
No, David Gordon Green directed Pineapple Express before this.
Danny McBride,
Yeah, so
great comedy, but he can also do
horror.
yeah.
Why not? I don't think it's as pigeonholed anymore, is
No.
it?
Mm.
Although sadly, there's not that much. I don't know not that much sort of opportunity to do low budget horror anymore. It's got to have like millions of dollars thrown at it now, isn't
Yeah.
it? I mean, James Wan is another example of a really good started off low budget. You know, the first Saw film wasn't made for that much money, but so much better than the rest of them. And he's gone on to helm some billion-dollar things. Fast 7.
Did he do any of the DC films?
Yeah, Aquaman. Yeah.
Oh, hold on,
And he's just done a new horror film called *Malignant*, which I think I figured the twist out of, but I'll leave that.
I'll have to do that when it comes out.
Yeah, he's a good. The Conjuring films are good as well. Back to basics, ghost films, no blood, no just good old fashioned horror.
Of all the recent ones, horrors I've seen, defined as horror, A Quiet Place 2 and A Quiet
Oh
Place.
yeah, Quiet Place was good.
I'm beginning to think that, because I've been doing a lot. This is brilliant
Yeah, I love
from a
this.
distance.
It's good as well. Like when Laurie mentions it, he's not there, so
Yeah.
it makes her look crazy.
Bush. 70s Bush.
The year of the Bush. I am also like, you don't have to have him be the brother.
No.
Like, I know it's sort of a retcon, explains why he's after her specifically, but it doesn't matter. Like, he could have just been. He saw her first. Is
Yeah.
how I always thought. Like,
Fixated.
yeah,
Even Nick Castle saying, like, again, I'm going to refer him back to, because I just watched it yesterday, the movies that made us on Netflix. That he basically just did what, because he was just on set at the time, so that's why he got the costume, and he basically he just did what he was told to do.
yeah,
So his performance is just doing what John Carpenter told him to do.
yeah,
So which makes the shape Michael Myers more of a prop
yeah,
than actually a character. So if you could do
Yeah.
that, you could argue that is the boogeyman, because it's not a performance that is actually motivated by anything other than what you're told to do.
yeah.
So
There's a couple of shots where it's Deborah Hill plays him, but I don't know in which scenes they are. I know she plays young Michael, like the hands of young Michael with the camera,
yeah,
because she had smaller hands. There's that scene in, talking of other hands though, in Friday the 13th, we know when Betsy Palmer gets her head cut off at the end, and you see her hands come up. And
Tom Savini, who is a
Immortal
legend
somehow.
Oh yeah, he still looks good.
Charles Cyphers is the guy that plays Sheriff Brackett as well. I think he's been in a few. Plays the sheriff again in the second one. The second one wasn't directed by Carpenter, but it was written while he was drunk, interestingly. Hence why you get the brother and sister thing. Because he really didn't want to write a sequel,
You blame him.
but he kind of got into, I think, a contract thing. So he said, I think he did the worst job he could.
Didn't he Escape from LA?
Yeah, I think he directed it as
Yeah.
well.
Oh, that's got that. I gotta say, in Escape from LA, one of the most gruesome scenes is
The Bruce Campbell scene.
yeah, freaked me out, because that's, you do see people licking that plastic.
Yeah, you do, yeah. Definitely not a patch on the original, was it?
Oh. Again with Donald Pleasance.
Yeah. I think it's the second of 3 collaborations.
The thing is, even Jamie Lee Curtis and Donald Pleasance, they all came back for money on the later sequels, didn't
Of course they did, yeah.
Yeah.
The third Donald Pleasance, John Carpenter film you want to watch, well, we've seen it now, is The Prince of Darkness.
Ah.
That's good.
Oh, we're gonna have to do those again. Podcast listeners, we actually do film nights, where we just one of us picks a film and we sit down and watch it. It's better than watching the mainstream.
Oh yeah, a lot of the time. I actually like that this is just a false alarm.
Yeah.
It was just Danny. Giggity. That's 2 giggities for
Yeah.
that.
I lost it. I doubt that. Sexual.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. I never picked up on that actually. It's another great thing about watching them with someone else. They pick up on things you've not seen in 100 viewings.
Everybody goes into different goes to movies with different baggage.
That's the good thing though. It's plural, isn't it? I think she's probably the original final girl as well.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd define slasher as a psycho. Psycho as a slasher.
No, I think it's probably what I call a proto slasher.
Yeah.
So it's like it's set this, in my opinion, this is the first true established slasher.
Yeah.
Where afterwards you could say this is where it started. Because you can only do that retrospectively. You can't say when this came out, or that's the first slasher, because you didn't have any examples otherwise. I mean, you had maybe Black Christmas, was the only one I could think of in the 70s as well. And all the Giallo films, but they're their own genre, really. But yeah, I think this is definitely the first established slasher, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think that after watching Fridays recently, it's making a disservice to this film.
Yeah, I mean,
it's the one that started it, but it's
Oh, yeah,
also
yeah.
it's like Night of the Living Dead.
Or Star Wars,
Yeah,
isn't it?
but Night of the Living Dead didn't generate as much money as a lot of the films that came after it.
Yeah, oh yeah,
And
yeah.
that's the one that started it all.
Yeah.
But it's regarded as the one.
The forefather, yeah.
Yeah, and this one, whereas like Jason and Freddy and all the subsequent like your Child's Play, they were, and in the 80s, because everybody wanted to cash in, it's like
Yeah.
American Pie. Everyone cashed in on it, but they missed the key element of it,
Yeah.
the heart of it, and the heart of it is you've got the adults that don't believe them. You've got it's
You care about
quality
them as
over
well.
quantity. Yeah.
Like I do find as well, even with the Fridays, compared to modern slashers, you still care a lot more about the characters. Like there's always the archetypes. There's like the bitchy one and the nerd and the fat guy, the black guy. You know, like, but you do all like care about them. You think like, oh, I like this guy, or I don't like her, but you don't want like anything awful to happen to them. Whereas I think a lot of slasher remakes, like I've said this before, but it doesn't look like any of us can afford the houses all these kids
Yeah.
live in. Like, you can't relate to that.
No, Rich Daddy in the Friday
Yeah.
remake, and he's inviting friends over. Just and see if one of the girls' characters points out it's so that you just bring your frat pals here just to show them how rich Daddy is.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I think the Chinese guy and the black guy were the only two guys I was kind of like, oh, these two are quite funny.
yeah. Digs up the grave, and shows how powerful he is to actually dig up the grave. So
Yeah.
he came home.
The night he came home.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
tagline. She's smoking weed. Smoking weed, that means they have to die.
Pot, as the
Yeah.
Americans say. Seasons Don't Fear the Reaper as well in the background.
Ah, the oyster cult.
Michael is basically the Reaper.
Yeah.
Funny you should mention their thing actually, because it's the film they're watching, isn't it?
Yeah.
The original.
I think that's so cool. This is where you got the idea going. Yeah, I wanna write. I wanna do this.
Yeah, I think definitely. Well, it's only 4 years later, was it? Like
Yeah.
82, wasn't it?
Yeah. Which again, we'll put a bit of a gratuitous plug next year. We got the big three: 40 hitting 40, E.T., Blade Runner,
Yeah, Blade Runner.
and The Thing.
The Thing, yeah.
So we'll be doing.
Oh, I can't believe the 80s is 40 years old now.
Yeah. Say Halloween mask. Don't you mean Star Trek mask?
Yeah.
Shatner.
Yeah, we should probably mention if you don't know that Michael Myers, I say Michael Jackson there,
Yeah.
his mask is a William Shatner mask,
Yeah.
spray painted white, isn't it?
And the eyes holes are cut a
Yeah.
bit larger, so.
And the hair taken out, I think.
Yeah.
Because it was originally
Sideburns.
supposed to be,
Coloured
yeah.
hair.
It was originally supposed to be the clown mask at the start,
Yeah.
but I think it just didn't.
No, they had a clown mask and a Shatner mask, and the Shatner mask won.
That's so weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's Michael in the background here
Oh.
as he drives past, like straight past him. I love that shot because we keep Loomis in the
Yeah.
foreground, and then you sort of get drawn to this, and
Damn!
you're like,
Did
oh
not
shit,
see
there
that.
he is.
Jeez. That's perfection.
Yeah.
Daddy's a cop and they just.
He's the sheriff.
Yeah.
I must admit, in the Rob Zombie remake, Brad Dourif plays the sheriff,
Chucky.
And I actually really do like him.
Jeez.
Yeah, I like Brad Dourif in anything.
You're a Lord of the Rings fan, and of course you like Brad Dourif,
Yeah,
isn't he?
but he's an asshole in that. Forgetting he's Chucky.
So is Mark Hamill now.
Yeah, I know.
Laurie can't get a date. In real life, yeah, she could get
She's
it.
fucking, yeah. I'd definitely go out with her. I think she looks incredible even now. For her age.
Right.
I think she's made up to look all frumpy and grandma-y, isn't she, in 2018? She
Yeah.
doesn't really look like that.
No.
She's one of the first sort of actresses I ever saw with, like, really short hair as
Yeah.
well. Rocking it as well.
It's the fact that she's played Chris Evans' mum.
Yeah.
That's scary.
I know.
It's like well, you know, because I'm a product of the '80s, so it's sort of like going, is she? Yes, she is old enough to be Chris Evans' mum.
I like as well that all the cast and crew on this are like a family.
Yeah.
They all like still talk to each other, and I like that shot as well. Incidentally, that it's daylight 1 minute and now we're into darkness inexplicably.
And you got the music as well.
Yeah.
That adds to the tension, just like as in
Yeah.
the Jaws music, the
Yeah,
shark theme.
Yeah, it's kind of like a warning, isn't it?
Yeah.
And with daylight gone, you're not safe.
No. But he was still going back to what I had noticed was, till you pointed out, how he's in the background. He is
Yeah.
actually there. It's just that
If you look for him,
yeah,
he's there at most points.
and the authority figures, the protectors,
Don't
can't
notice.
see him. So it's
In fact, they're all absent, like you said earlier.
Yeah.
They're all going out for the night. The original name of this film was The Babysitter Murders.
Yeah.
So
I don't think it would have lasted if it
no,
had
I
that.
don't think it
It's
I'm quite shocked and surprised that no film was called Halloween before this. Like no horror film.
crazy.
Because it's the perfect holiday to set a horror on, isn't it? I mean, it's almost cliche now, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. That's when we get all the horror films coming out.
Yeah. And I mean, Halloween 3 even takes a piss. Well, not takes a piss, but uses the fact that Halloween paraphernalia can kill you.
Yeah.
You know, like killer Halloween masks.
Oh, that's good. That is.
I actually do like Halloween 3. Yeah.
Except for when it didn't hit
It shouldn't have been called Halloween.
No. But the idea was to bring different films out.
Yeah, anthologies,
yeah.
basically.
But people didn't buy into it, and they just said, we want Michael Myers. But when you say Friday the 13th, you do think of Jason. When you
Yeah, of
say
course you do,
Nightmare, if you're a film fanatic, you think of Freddy. And when you say Halloween, you
Yeah,
think of Michael.
it's like there's always a synonymous name with these franchises, isn't there? Like Pinhead with Hellraiser and Mike Norman Bates.
Yeah.
I like that he ate a dog.
Yeah.
Like,
That makes him a real monster.
Yeah.
You can kill humans, but just don't kill the animals.
it's just the build up as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
All the stuff with Loomis where it's like it's not a man.
Alright. What is it then?
I think it was almost Christopher Lee that played Loomis as well.
He would have been good.
He said in multiple interviews he said that was the biggest mistake of his career,
Well,
turning that role down. I mean, he said like Donald does it perfectly because I think they're all friends, aren't they? That sort of generation.
and both Bond villains.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah.
I really like. You know when you see nighttime lighting.
Yeah.
And they do it, and you can get times when they do it without the orange effect from the lights.
Yeah.
I love it, and things like this where you got the lighting is perfect
Yeah.
because there's no visible light around, but they're managing to light it so you've got just the right amount of shadows, and the right amount of features. So it's not distorted.
Yeah.
I think it's perfect.
It's probably like the most famous speech. It's almost like, I always, like you say about Jaws, I don't know why I compare this to Jaws as well. Like when you talks about the black eyes and the, you know, it just makes me think of a shark.
Yeah. And the speech from Robert Shaw, Quintet.
Yeah. Could be talking about Donald Trump as a child there.
Yeah. Donald Trump would be a lot more scarier. And Jamie Lee Curtis would have to be running like the wind Laurie. Sorry, Laurie.
Jamie Lee Curtis would kick his ass.
Pardon?
Jamie Lee Curtis would kick his ass.
Yeah. I think that's how they should do it. If they want to finish with Halloween and what they should do it and do next, instead of having Malcolm Shatner mask, have a Donald Trump mask.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say Donald Pleasant's mask for a second there.
That would be cool. Kids wearing a spacesuit. Is that another one of these things that's going to say that John Carpenter faked the Apollo landing?
I don't know, probably.
That's my Shining reference for this film.
There's that nice little sort of pan down there, and you see Laurie's knitting bag. Another sort of reference that she's not cool.
No.
I think the 2018 one's good as well because Laurie becomes the one no one believes. She's the crazy lady, and she that lives in the woods with loads of guns, like she's mental. And then at the end, everyone's like, "Oh, alright, I get it." Yeah.
It's not a cage for us; it's a cage for him.
Yeah.
Oh, that's brilliant.
And I like the fact that you think, you know, Judy Greer's saying that she never really had much of a relationship with her, and that she has nothing to do with her. But then when she gives her the rifle, she's like, sort of, yeah, you trained me right.
Yeah. German Shepherds.
Oh, this one's about to die.
Another thing. You look at they're the things that can seek out Terminators.
Oh yeah, yeah. Everyone used to have friends like this, don't they? Oh, I've set you up with so and so. Well, I didn't ask you to.
Michael Myers in the shadow.
He just doesn't move. That's what makes it creepy.
You've got Alien was 79, right?
Yeah.
So you got 77. You got a Star Wars 78. You got Halloween 79. You got Alien. Carrie Fisher, Jamie Lee Curtis, Sigourney Weaver. So anyone that's saying that this whole female empowerment thing is new, isn't that kind of disrespectful to like the three major ones that took down a lot more than a lot of these ones do today?
And what makes me laugh is that this gets called like a supremely misogynist genre of film, and yet the main survivors are called final girls.
Yeah.
You know, there are a couple of slashers that have final boys, but it's weird.
Nightmare 2, which when you
the only one I can think of is The Burning. That has a final boy, but he's not even a character that you like. He's like a creepy guy that spies on women in the showers and stuff. It doesn't seem right to not have a final girl.
Yeah. But when you look at Nightmare 2, that's a very feminine.
Yeah, there's a whole gay metaphor.
Yeah.
When
you're watching it when you're a kid, when you're watching it as a kid, you don't see it. But
no, of course you don't know.
But when you you know, a lot. You can actually really.
You can see it later, yeah, definitely. When you know. I think Nancy's not Nancy. What's her name?
Heather Langenkamp's Nancy.
No, her. What's her name again?
Let's have a look.
Shit! How the fuck did I forget that?
BJ Souls, Linda.
No, Nancy Loomis.
Annie. Nancy as Nancy Loomis.
Yeah, she's a bit of a bitch in this, isn't she?
Yeah.
She was married to Tommy Lee Wallace in real life. Guy that directed Halloween 3, and he did something on this as well. He's like
Production.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, he is like a carpenter.
They still married?
Regular? No, I don't think so.
And The Thing.
Still the same title sequence as well.
Nice.
Made by burning a bin bag.
Wow.
Or a fish tank or something. I can't remember what it was.
Is this John Carpenter's wish list then?
I think it was. Yeah, it's got to be, isn't it? They all sort of, that was their horror era, wasn't it? The 50s. They all grew up on the B movie stuff and.
I actually a few years ago watched that Plan 9. I love
Yeah,
the movies.
It's not as bad as everyone makes it.
I've
It's
seen
enjoyable,
worse.
isn't it?
Yeah, I've seen worse. And The Thing, not The Thing. Them.
Oh, them, yeah, the giant ants.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. I remember that. Oh, there's a great film you want to watch. So cheesy, but it's really good, from the 70s. Land of the Spiders.
If you can get it,
Shatner
we'll watch
in
it.
It's so good.
She looks so innocent.
I know, there's loads of people that say to me, like, she looks like a horse and that, and I just think, are you, like,
Yeah.
she looks fucking amazing now. Like, I've never seen such a scene where I needed to cross my legs. It's the stripping scene in True Lies.
Oh, that's good.
And then she finds out it's her husband.
Yeah. And the late great Bill Paxton, of course, is in it as well.
Yeah.
So.
I get a tiny dick, it's too pathetic. I miss Bill Paxton.
Same here. But he got the science fiction trifecta, hasn't he?
Yeah,
Killed by
he's-
Terminator, Predator, and Alien.
Alien, yeah. I mean, there's been one person, no, two people killed so
Yeah.
far, and it doesn't matter. Like, I mean, if this was as an 80s slasher, you'd be calling this a little boring by now.
Yeah. It couldn't last today.
No.
Because I suppose the people that go into the new ones, you know, I mean, we'll find out with Halloween Kills shortly, because that, you know, the audience is already set in place. They know what they're going to expect. But
Yeah.
with a lot of the horrors today, it does have to be
Formulaic.
Yeah, and you have to cater to. I mean, I used to use like the term the MTV generation with where everything was fast, but now it's
Yeah.
kind of like not just fast cuts. You have to have everything given to you,
Yeah.
and you have to be spoon fed with it. You have to have a backstory. You've got to explain why things are up because
Yeah.
people can't think. One of the biggest things that really pisses me off is when you go see a film and then you come home and you go on YouTube or you go on any social media site and it's like the ending of the film you've just watched being explained.
Yeah, it really annoys me.
Why? Michael Myers, you don't know, find out what happens, spoilers, at the end of this one, but you know, you're not really like
No.
going, oh, how did they actually capture him? How did he do this? How did he do that?
Yeah.
You can leave the cinema or watching the film and not need an explanation.
Yeah.
But no, everyone has to have it.
Yeah, John Carpenter's voice.
Is it, Did
Yeah.
he cameo in all those films? Or?
No, not all of them, I don't think. Jamie Lee Curtis, her voice cameos in Escape from New York at the start when she's talking about the island and all that sort of stuff.
Robert Rodriguez really did take a lot from John Carpenter
Yeah.
because Robert Rodriguez uses the same people Robert Rodriguez cuts and scores in his own films. Does Carpenter edit as well?
I think so, yeah.
You know, it's
A
I
lot
like.
of directors like to edit as well, don't they?
Yeah.
I think Lucas did as well,
He
didn't
did.
he? I think a lot of the '70s directors, because they're the new Hollywood directors, aren't they?
Yeah.
Where they're the revolutionaries, so they do everything themselves, sort of thing. I think Spielberg used Thelma Fields, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously Scorsese used Thelma Schoonmaker.
And QT used
Sally Mank. Yeah.
She rest in peace. And I was like, oh, I was. She edited some of my favourite movies, so when Sally Menke passed away, I was like.
I think when they have like long time editing collaborators, they're almost like shorthand. They have shorthand with them, don't they? Like.
Yeah, if this hadn't been labelled a horror, and with a title like Halloween, if you just to show, like awards people.
Yeah.
And just look at it for the art form rather than the pigeonholing.
Yeah.
Films like this would actually with Dawn of the Dead, which again I've just recently watched. You're watching and you're going, you take the word horror out of it and you assess it as a movie, as a piece of work rather than just as a. Then you're looking at a different film.
Yeah.
You are.
Same with Night of the Living Dead. We always mention that. Like, that's like Frankenstein, where you go in with these preconceptions. You feel like you've never seen the film, but you know the plot, and you really don't. I loved watching that with you because you'd never seen it. So like that reaction at the end was so true and so like. I was waiting for it in my head. I was thinking, I don't know how he's going to react to this, and it's so nice to see someone react like that the first time, and remember. Like I was jealous in a way because I wanted to go back to that, and it was just great. It was just great seeing that, like the film made in 1968 can have that power.
It elicited an emotion because it was not what I expected, but it fell into. It was not a horror ending. It was a. Because you could say the spoilers. Was the last man standing killed because of his colour, or was it because?
Was it a mistake?
Yeah. Yeah. And it depends on what your viewpoint is.
Yeah.
And
Romero always famously, he doesn't consciously put these political things in. He just writes what he knows, and it was 1968, and he said on commentaries all the time, you take away from the film what you want.
Yeah.
I don't superimpose my view on yours. Like there is a theme. Like Dawn of the Dead is obviously the satire of consumerism gone wild, but there's other things going on as well.
We will be podcasting that one. And that is one I'm really looking forward to.
My favourite horror film.
The
remake's good as well.
Yeah.
I always liked Romero's always this guy, big cuddly, like he was a huge guy, but he was so nice and he used to hug all the fans and everything. Apparently when the remake came out, he's always so polite, and they said, did you like the remake? And he said, yeah, I liked it. He says, but zombies don't run. Carpenter's very sort of polite to people as well. Like he's a good friend of Rob Zombie's. Rob Zombie's not everyone's cup of tea. I actually quite like the Rob Zombie remake. There's not a lot of people that do, but he was always like, yeah, Rob's a nice guy. Don't go into this. It's not my movie anymore. Like, I think it's nice to have the blessing of the original. It's not something like The Shining ever experienced.
No.
We discussed that last time, didn't we? Or anything with Alan Moore's name on it.
Yeah. I love the book, The Watchmen. I also love the TV series, and I love the movie.
Steve Vendetta is a good film as well. I don't understand what his big deal is. I do, but
different medium.
That scary moment when she realises there's condensation already in the car.
Ooh.
I mean, like, it's even more pared down than Jaws. It's one keyboard button,
Yeah.
you know, to sting you.
Just that bit shot then was very like Ghostface from Scream.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, Scream is like consciously a sort of apologist for all these films, isn't it? I mean, the first two were amazing. I thought they were so good, but after the third, they sort of became parodying what they were parodying, didn't
Like Shrek.
they? Yeah.
Because I mentioned that to my fiance yesterday. And the two kids being left.
Watching Forbidden Planet with a really young Leslie Nielsen there, playing a serious character.
Yeah.
Do you know so many people don't realise that he was a serious actor before he did, like, I think it was it Naked Gun that probably made him.
Airplane.
Oh, Airplane, yeah. Surely you can't be serious.
Yeah. I am, but don't call me Shirley.
I absolutely fucking love that film. I think we've got to do that
Oh yeah.
as well. Because we have a little thesis on that the parody's dead now, isn't it? You couldn't get away with that film now.
God no. Or any of Mel Brooks.
No.
Mel Brooks is a god.
Still quite
I'm
controversial,
sorry.
isn't he? Like,
Mel Brooks.
yeah. Oh, Mel Brooks is great.
Young Frankenstein, Blazing Saddles.
Yeah, I do like Spaceballs, but I think it came too late.
Yeah, definitely. It came with a period where nobody likes the horse.
Yeah. Whereas I think something like Scary Movie came at the right time, didn't it? Because it was parodying Scream, which had just happened.
I think, it's something that, because, when I ask, I find it, in the paid job, you're working with people younger than we are. And when you're asking them questions about movies, because it's nice to get a different perspective.
Yeah.
And people won't, the amount of, quote, young ones, like in the early 20s, that won't go and see a film like Halloween Kills or Halloween because they associate it with, they'll watch something like Star Wars and they'll be all over Star Wars and Marvel, which have got a longer, which are older.
Yeah.
I find it really fascinating. Because I asked a few people if they were going to go see James Bond, and some will say no. So is that because it's your parents' generation? And yeah, I'm like thinking, it's kind of funny how that you could put like a modern day, say, horror, or you can put out some certain things that everybody's going for, like if it's on like one of the streaming channels. But if you take something which is classic and re-update it, you're going to have an older audience rather than the kids, because they don't want to see it because it's quote old.
Yeah, and you're exactly right, because a lot of the things, like when I speak to some of the youngsters, there's a couple on my department at work, and a lot of the times whenever you ask them if they've seen a film, they say, "Is that an old film?" And I just think, does it matter?
Yeah.
I mean, even my missus, like, she's not really massively into films like we are. I mean, I was watching Casablanca the other day, and she was like, "Oh, I couldn't watch a black and white film," and I think, but why not? I don't, like, some of my favourite films are black. I actually think black and white's better sometimes. Like, the lightings, the photography's amazing on black and white films.
I got lucky enough to watch a completely 60th anniversary
bastard.
screening, and that was, whoa,
So
that
good.
was,
It's my favourite Hitchcock film.
North by Northwest. I'm sorry, I love North by Northwest.
That's Colour, isn't it?
Yes, Colour.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen our favourite black and white film a couple of weeks ago, didn't we?
Schindler's List.
Yeah.
He speaks in sound bites, but it works.
Donald Pleasance, yeah, I think he's got a great voice.
Yeah.
One of my favourite films with him in is The Great Escape.
Ah.
I absolutely love The Great Escape. He's sort of like an actor that I think is criminally not as famous as he should be as well, isn't he?
Definitely.
Like, I mean, I know about Donald Pleasance because my nan used to watch. She used to watch older films with me, and I obviously Bond as well.
Yeah.
But he's not massively famous. You couldn't. He's not household name. I don't.
We're James Bond fans. You say Donald Pleasance, we
no.
think Blofeld. It's kind of. But yeah, I do agree with you. But if you're, it's crazy, but it has to be on he's not one of these people that was ever on the front cover of a magazine.
Oh no.
He's someone on the front cover of a magazine. Even if they're just a viral star and everybody will know who they are, and I'm going, who the all that word is that? But it's.
I think that's really creepy, that scene, because he talks about ripping Lindsay's clothes off, and Lindsay's that little girl.
Jesus.
I know he's just joking about like how horny they are, but that's weird.
But if you create someone that says something really stupid, it might be a bit. Then doesn't really doesn't matter if they get killed.
No, he's clearly not intending to rape a child.
No.
But
it doesn't work for the BBC then, does he?
No, definitely not.
Oops, that's my one reference to
shares in the BBC.
Yeah. We could say this because the BBC, if you're in any other territory,
are a nest of paedophile vipers, basically.
Yeah, and who for a long while covered it all up.
With our license fees, no doubt.
Yeah.
If you're in the US, we have a thing called the TV license, which we all fucking hate.
Yeah. Which we shouldn't really have to pay for if we get subscription services, considering they stick it all on BritBox if you have to pay for.
Yeah. You guys are lucky. You've just got adverts that pay for things. He's just everywhere, isn't he?
Yeah.
And I love that scene, the very last scene of the film, where it goes through all the rooms he's been in, and you can just hear him breathing, and it's just so creepy.
Isn't that like they had to use end footage that they had afterwards just to composite that shot?
Yeah, I think they did. Yeah.
I can't remember, was it to get a runtime up, or was it just to have a real ending, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, Carpenter didn't want an ending that would. Because, I mean, you've got to remember, 1978, there wasn't sequels to things back then, really, was there? I mean, Bond's probably the only thing I think
Planet of the Apes.
Or, yeah, and Godfather, maybe?
Yeah.
Godfather
Part 2.
Yeah, 74, wasn't it? Yeah. So, I don't think he made it with the intention of making a sequel. That's why he wrote the second one drunk, because he wasn't really bothered, I think.
But you think about it, if this had been meant for sequels, then... Actually, yeah, it does actually kind of set it up, because...
It does, yeah, if you're looking for a sequel...
Yeah.
I think he kind of shot it both ways.
Yeah.
Because there was an ending where Donald Pleasance was told to play it two ways. Yeah. So he was told to play... When he looks out and sees the body gone, he was told to either play it, oh my god, Michael's gone, or I knew that was going to happen.
Yeah.
And I think he sort of plays it as, I knew that was going to happen. You know, you look out the window and he's gone.
No, because you don't actually see the body. This kind of differs from, like, you know, you've got the Friday the 13th, you've got the terrorist done, but there's the dream sequence of Jason coming out, Nightmare on Elm Street, where Freddy comes through the window in the dream. Because I mean, the theory is, if I'm right, is you have to leave the cinema safe, knowing that the boogeyman is gone.
Generally, yeah.
But at the end of this, you don't see the body. The boogeyman has not gone. The boogeyman is still out there, which is something that is like, because they do mention Michael Myers as all the shape as being the boogeyman. So if the boogeyman is still out there, the boogeyman can still get you. That's a very brave. Whereas you don't leave the cinema safe because he's still out there.
Yeah.
And
he will get you.
Yeah.
Like, I must admit, I'm quite a big fan of Halloween 2. I like the fact that it was like, it's probably did what No Slash did at the time, which was set it on the same night as the first film. Like, it's literally just a few minutes afterwards, you know, Laura's going to hospital with a really, really bad wig, because obviously Jamie Lee Curtis had short hair in 1981. But no, I like the idea of that it's set on the same night. But then I like they sort of dialed that up to 40 with 2018, where it's the same night 40 years later.
Yeah.
And the other ones don't count. You know, it's kind of, everything does that now, doesn't it? Like, it's like a little popular thing now.
Well, the reason 18 worked is because rather than having to, cause a lot of these films where they say that, was it Terminator Dark Fate? Like, you go into it knowing that after Terminator 2, and they have to do it through the press. So you go into 2018, you got the bit with the podcasters, you got the bit with Laurie's granddaughter.
Yeah.
They're the ones that giving you all the exposition as to
Yeah.
where you are, so you know where you are in a timeline, so you know the rest of the sequels after 78.
Yeah, and it's not just an info dump by
No.
policeman or by the psychiatrist or whatever. Yeah, it's like natural, isn't it? You
Yeah.
feel like you're in that world 40 years later. Like Blade Runner 49, you feel like you're in the same world 30 years later. don't
Yeah.
you? It's just how a sequel should feel naturally. I think sequels should have a long time between them because it sort of sets up that idea that things have changed and stayed the same. You know, a la Trainspotting 2,
Yeah.
American Pie the Reunion, that sort of thing. I like that.
I think it was like, and also, you know, with American Pie, The Reunion, and Trainspotting 2, you've got where the characters, you know, should be, where you want them to be. You got they all go from the sunset and live happily ever after, and even Rise of Skywalker, they had The Last Jedi. No,
Yeah.
Rise of Skywalker, yeah, The Last Jedi. The characters that you love growing up don't actually have the life that you
No.
wanted them to have, and it adds a little bit of reality and more of a ground, you know, whereas the fantasized is more, and it works. It's
Yeah.
sad that you know, for me, Luke's arc was natural. You wanted Renton and Spud and Sick Boy to all go on with their lives and Trainspotting, but they don't, because that's you know.
Yeah, that's life.
And how Finch,
yeah.
Finch,
Don't say
it's just
Filch, that's disgusting.
yeah, Finch fucker. It was sorry, he was not. They didn't do anything.
No,
They just led
lies,
normal
doesn't he,
lives.
about what he's been doing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that reality.
I mean, they do it with this, the 2018 as well, where Laurie's an alcoholic
Yeah,
because of all the stuff with Michael. Like, that's not how you wanted her to end up.
no, she's
But
had
It
40
would.
years.
She saw her friends die in
Yeah.
horrible ways. Like, obviously, you would have issues.
The lighting on the knife.
I know, it's so amazing. Isn't it? I love the fact the way Michael sort of bobs his head side to side like a dog, you know, like curious. He still has that childlike
Yeah.
mentality, doesn't he?
That was mentioned last night in the. Sorry for going on about it, but
That's alright, I need to watch it, actually.
in the movies that made us on Netflix. If you're listening Netflix, yes, I will happily accept an endorsement.
Yeah,
Said
absolutely.
about how he goes on Nick Castle, is it?
Yeah.
Goes on about that scene.
Oh, Nick Castle's great. I think he played him in a few shots in the new one, didn't he?
Yeah. I like how even that one. Oh, that's so cool. Ghost with his glasses on. So Michael's wearing a mask, wearing a costume, wearing the glasses. So
Yeah, how can you see shit with that on?
yeah, I wish you ever see anything wearing someone else's sunglasses. So prescription glasses.
Must be like the guy playing Predator, wearing two masks.
Jeez. Halloween kills is the shape, and Halloween ends is the shape.
Some titties for you all as well.
Boobs and beers. It's brilliant. It's just the glasses over the bed
It's
sheet.
creepy, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
It's those big fucking 70s glasses as
Yeah.
well, isn't it? Where,
It also reminds me a bit of like Beetlejuice. When
yeah,
they're doing the haunting.
like absurd. Where the fuck's the second one of that as well?
Yeah. Didn't he have a choice of, didn't Tim Burton have the choice of either doing that or Batman Returns, and he chose Batman Returns?
Oh, what, Beetlejuice 2?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's always been sort of in the works, hasn't it? I don't know, hasn't it just sort of opened up again that they're doing it?
Yeah.
I mean, I'd love to see Michael Keaton do that again.
I believe we want to see it, but then again, he's playing Batman again.
Yeah. Can't we have both of them back?
Beetlejuice, Batman together. Up for that.
I'm up for that, yeah. I think Laurie sort of thinks she's getting an
Yeah.
obscene phone call,
Yeah.
doesn't she? Let it not be said that Michael doesn't make the girls scream.
He does. Yep.
No need.
Now that is creepy.
It's just lifeless, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's definitely the mask.
You think about it. Something that hit me the other day is that as the films progressed, the masks would have become better.
Oh, they get worse actually.
Yeah, that's what I mean. This is a cheaper mask that they pick up. It's kind
Yeah,
of weird than the ones they probably spent more time and money on. And I find it so weird, and I always find it weird because what got me thinking about this was, again, let's come back to Star Wars, is that the original lightsabers were like flash guns for cameras, and they picked them up dirt cheap. And now if you want to get a replica, you're talking
Hundreds.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it just fascinates me that this simple stuff is now they're charging a fortune for stuff that they made on the cheap.
I mean, it makes no sense actually in the sequels, because in Halloween 4, the Return of Michael Myers, which was the first one where he came back after 3, you actually see him going to choose like a new his new mask, because he's been in the what's it called, asylum, whatever it is. And for some reason that mask is still available to buy. I think if something like this happened, they'd probably pull that out of shops, wouldn't they? Although would they? Because we're all fascinated with killers, aren't we?
Here's something that really fascinates me about masks. You look at V for Vendetta, and I'm sorry, I'm having a bit of a brain freeze here today. The group that uses them,
Anonymous.
They use the V for Vendetta mask and go against corporations. And yet they're using a corporate mask and buying officially licensed corporate masks from V for Vendetta, which is Warner Brothers, who owns both the comics and the cinematic one.
Yeah.
So they're giving money to corporations, and they keep producing the masks and licensing the masks, just so that people that are against them can wear.
Yeah.
Where's the logic?
It's weird, isn't it?
So, and you see all like you got the hockey masks, you got the gloves, that as long as companies are going to make money, they'll produce them, they'll license them, even though if it's against their core beliefs. And people will buy the stuff from a corporation that they're fighting against.
Yeah.
No logic.
I know. It's like when vegans moan at you for having like leather handbags, and yet the seats in their cars are made out of leather.
Yeah.
And they're poisoning the atmosphere of their car.
There is a lot of hypocrisy.
Oh, of course there is. Yeah. I think if we all dig deep enough, we're all probably hypocrites at some level, even unconsciously, like not harmfully, but I think we all probably have conflicting beliefs if we dug deep enough.
I always say when it comes to something with, you sometimes have to take emotion out of the equation.
Yeah, you do, yeah, definitely.
And it's someone whose intentions. You see a lot of these animal activists have no idea what they're doing, and they end up destroying ecosystems by releasing animals. They think they're doing great. Going on the horror standpoint, they're releasing of the rage-infected monkeys.
Yeah, I always thought, did Danny Boyle have something against animal activists in that? Like, it's their fault, isn't it?
Yeah, but people do stupid things because they think they're doing right, but they're really too thick as shit to actually
research it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying like that lab was advertising the fact that they had rage in it, but that's the only weak scene in that film, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I see. I first time I watched it, it was when Cillian Murphy's in the hospital bed, and I thought that was the start of the film. Then when I saw the rage-infected monkeys, I was like, no.
Yeah. No. I mean, the monkey thing doesn't bother me. It's just the whole. What infected with what?
The rage. The rage.
It's such a stupid name for a virus.
Yeah, and it's such a bad line reading. The shadow. Look at that.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it? We should also probably explain as well that Halloween is a much bigger holiday in the States, isn't it? I mean, it's still quite commercially successful here, but we don't go trick or treating as much as Americans. I used to a little bit as a kid, but it was literally like round my street and then back. I think in America they go like around the whole town, don't they? Or they make a whole. I mean, it's nice that they all feel safe enough to do that. I think we all sort of think there's a pedo around every corner in this country, don't we?
We do. You know what? This is really, really bad. Anytime I see reflections, like you see Jamie Lee Curtis's back, you know what I'm always looking for now?
Her bum. Oh, the camera.
The camera.
Yeah.
It's not to do with the fact that I'm trying to catch the filmmakers out. It's
looking.
I'm trying to see how they do it. I love
Yeah.
it when I love it when I see shots. I'm like, how do they do it?
There are a few, aren't there? Like
Yeah.
that you probably know of if you read up on.
No, you know, the difference between really, you know, if you can't see it with your own eyes,
It
It's-
doesn't matter.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it's all these people that nitpick
Yeah.
everything
I
as a
know.
negative.
Like there's no film. I don't know any film in the world that has no continuity errors. But they're obviously so small that you won't notice unless you're told.
Yeah.
I mean, like the stormtrooper banging his head thing. Everyone knows that, don't they? But I never noticed that till I was told.
Let me know that.
And all the funny gladiator mistakes as well. I never noticed any of them until I was told.
Do you just change your enjoyment of the film?
No, not at all. No. I don't care if it's a guy with jeans in a film
No.
about ancient Rome.
Or a kid that actually, because he heard the prop go, heard the guns go off so much in North by Northwest that you actually see him put his fingers in his ears.
Yeah.
You know, if you're watching the background,
Yeah,
unless of course it's a film loaded with Easter eggs like say the Galaxy Far Far Away or Ready Player One,
Yeah.
then
Or that little kid in Back to Future 3 that points at his willy.
yeah, that's since you see
Yeah.
that you can't escape that one. Saying he needed a toilet break.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Oh, because there's like everyone used to think is he saying that to Mary Street.
Elizabeth, yeah, or Elizabeth Shue going.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we, you know, obviously you know now this far in that we are big supporters of practical.
Oh yeah, 100%. I'd take it over CG any day. Actually, I'll slightly augment that comment. I don't mind CG when it's improving already existing effects. When it's used to just tart things up that are already there, I don't mind that. I think the new Star Wars trilogy was good for that. They used models again, mixed with CG. I don't mind that. I really like Ridley Scott does that really well when he does science fiction films, models and CG.
Martian.
Yeah, or Prometheus.
Oh yeah.
Whereas it's just like all these disaster films. You know, even if you don't like Independence Day, a lot of it was practical.
No, this is gruesome. That. How does they stand the tombstone up? I'm sorry.
There's plot hole central, isn't it?
But look at the jack-o'-lantern.
Yeah, and I like just the sound as well of
Yeah.
Jamie Lee Curtis sort of gibbering in the background.
And then did
How did he get that guy's body up there as well? You don't care, do you?
No, no. But there's actually, I mean, there's nothing gory about it.
It's just shocking.
Yeah,
And disturbing, isn't it?
yeah.
I always used to joke around about that, about slasher films, where after they've killed someone, there's a deleted scene where the killer is like frantically running around shoving them in
Yeah.
cupboards and
But he has to. He had to get them all up there and in position.
I love that shot where you can just see his mask.
Cool.
And they copy it in 2018
Yeah.
with Laurie instead.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much. I mean, it seems to be like we're really going off on one on Dean Cundy in this because he is.
Well, he's great, isn't he?
just-
I mean, the way he looks up at Michael to make him
Yeah.
seem big, and the soundtrack as well. It's so minimalist,
Yeah.
isn't it? Like, I think we said this about Jaws, didn't we? That it's not grandiose like John Williams' other scores, but it's one of his best.
I love the Jaws soundtrack. I mean, it's one of the, you know, you buy a soundtrack because you love the. Sometimes it's one of those ones because I love the film. I want the soundtrack, and then
Yeah.
you listen to the soundtrack, you go, wow,
Yeah.
wow.
I always think with John Williams soundtracks, you can follow each scene in your head as you're listening to them.
Yeah.
Like it's the movie, basically.
Oh yes.
And again, no one.
That's very Nightmare on
No
Elm
answers.
Street.
Yeah.
Nancy. She must face her demons alone.
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, it's like the night, innit, where everyone takes a piss, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you would be like, oh, fuck off.
but someone that's obviously that much in distress, but that is, it does say a lot about the adults, and
Yeah,
you can't trust adults.
no.
You always have problems with keys, even in
Even when you're not
yeah.
stressed out, yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking. We just had a new door fitted, and God fucking help me if I couldn't get the key in. I'd be fucked if someone was chasing me. Something else I forgot to mention that is quite funny. You know the girl, Lindsay, that's with
Yeah.
Tommy? Her name's Kyle Richards in real life, and she's actually on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
Jesus.
And there's actually a rumour that she's in Halloween Kills.
Ooh. I'm
So
not gonna
I-
go on.
No,
IMDb and look it up
I
'cause
didn't
I'm
look at anything.
spoiler-free.
I just heard
Yeah.
that a lot of YouTubers have been predicting as well. Like, we might get a return of a classic character that was a kid, and I can only think they'd use the real person because people would actually do
Yeah.
know who. It might be a good thing to get people who've never seen the original in if they're into
Yeah.
reality TV. I only found that out because when I was watching this with my missus, she went, Kyle Richards, she's on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, and I just went, you are joking, aren't you?
Ooh. But these people grow up; they have to make a career
Yeah,
somehow.
exactly, yeah.
Ah, and anything needles come in useful?
Yeah, because you see his eye is injured
Yeah.
in 2018, don't you? Oh, it's in the neck first. I think you see that as well, don't you? Don't you see an injury on his neck?
We'll have to have a look again.
I do love the fact that they made the mask look distressed and actually look 40 years old like the original mask.
It wouldn't look the same because if
No, of
you
course it wouldn't. No. And that moment where he puts it on is just
yeah. Or hiding from behind she's in front of the sofa.
not
Couch.
behind it.
Yeah, and it's tradition, especially with the Doctor Who and the Daleks in the 70s, you're hiding behind the sofa.
Yeah.
But
Well, I mean, it's like the horror film thing people
Yeah.
do, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
cliche. I remember the first real experience I ever had where I was terrified of a horror film was Day of the Dead.
Well,
And just because the effects were so good, it's the
Still
maestro,
are.
isn't it?
Tom Savini.
But like, I thought, oh my god, like I thought there was zombies under my bed that night, and I was terrified. But then it kind of like I couldn't look away.
Yeah.
You know, like I needed to see what was going to happen.
You got the similar sort of thing. You got, whereas in here you've got you've got Loomis and the officer. You've got the officer and Laurie.
Yeah.
You know, with Michael being there, and you could also argue. I mean, I know we've said it a few times, and is it, everything rhymes. George says everything rhymes. So
Yeah.
again, with
It's poetry, right?
yeah, 2018 in 78, it rhymes and it hits the beats.
Yeah, yeah. I think
And-
it's something the sequels never did.
No.
I liked H2O was kind of like that originally, wasn't it? That was kind of like
I've
ignore the other ones.
I've seen the first 3 Halloweens and 18, but I'm gonna do a rewatch for the first time in 30 years
Have you
soon
not
as the
seen
second
H2O
one.
before? Oh, that's good.
Oh, the things, because I literally had about 20 odd year
Yeah.
period of not watching horrors.
I will be honest. A lot of 90s horrors are like they do the pretty teen thing, you know,
Yeah.
like where it's a horror film mixed with like Dawson's Creek. Like I know you did last summer and
Yeah.
Scream. Like, well, you look at the front covers from the 90s horror films and it's got all like pretty people on it.
Yeah. I turned off after I think it was like the second or the third screen. That was
Oh,
it.
wait, first two are really good.
I
Scream kind of sort of made horror popular again, didn't
yeah.
it? For the 90s people.
But the thing with you had in the 90s you had New Nightmare, which was ahead of its time.
Yeah, definitely. Craven again, isn't it?
Yeah, and
I think he understood that the only way to take it was parody.
yeah,
Or
meta.
meta, yeah. A lot of people forget though, Wes Craven was like an academic.
Yeah.
Like he was I don't think he was he was a teacher, wasn't
Teacher.
he?
But he was pigeonholed into a genre. But he made a real monster. I mean, he made
Yeah.
a full blown monster
The
that got
first Nightmare
diluted.
film is scary.
Yeah.
It's not. I mean, it's black humor, but it's not Freddy as we know him later,
No.
where he's wisecracking every 2 seconds.
A while ago, which we'll discuss Nightmare more on when we do that one, when we do the podcast for this one. But it's things like this, the use of the metal thing. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, it's the
Clothes hanger.
coat hangers.
Yeah.
That stabs him in the eye. I thought it was the needle.
And in 18, it's Michael Myers hiding in there.
I like the fact that Laurie's like, she's probably so full of adrenaline that she just picks up what's nearby, which is what you would do, isn't it? Like you would just try and grab whatever's next to you.
Survival instinct
Instead of
kicks in.
yeah.
It's like if you're drowning, you're gonna do whatever you can to stay alive.
You had the rumor that you have an orgasm when you drown. I don't know if that's true. No one can
no one
report
will find
back,
out,
can they?
no.
Obviously, but sign me up.
You know, like when it's when you see or you hear or you read things, that, you know, like, oh, you don't see much blood or you don't see any blood. You're looking out for you deliberately look out for it.
Yeah, and you won't find it.
No. Other than that, of course, the bit where you start with the
Yeah.
sister, but that's done from behind the mask, so you
Yeah.
don't really see it.
And there's like cuts and stuff, but not. I mean, you watch the remake of this and it's really gory.
Yeah. Protecting the kids again, which could also go into fantasy because she's on her own again. I know it's whereas she is, you could argue that she's the mentor, the Grand Wizard,
Yeah.
but she sent her little students, Padawans, whatever you want to call them, away.
Yeah.
So it's just her against the monster. So, as in with a lot of things, it's always, you know, even though Loomis is there, it's still Laurie and the monster is still one-on-one.
Yeah, Loomis is kind of like the Van Helsing character, isn't he?
Yeah. And he's sort of a narrator because he doesn't really do much
Yeah,
except
he
for
is a bit. I must admit, I do like Malcolm McDowell as Loomis in the remake.
Ooh.
I love Malcolm McDowell in anything.
Isn't he the one that was in Truth Seekers, if I remember right?
Yeah, I think so. He's
That
been
one
in
series.
Clockwork Orange as well.
Star Trek Generations?
Generations, yeah.
Another Shatner?
Another Shatner, yeah.
And takes the mask off, face in the shadows.
Yeah, and you think you see way more than you do. Like, oh, his
Yeah.
face is hideously scarred, and it's not at all.
Oh, and it's Loomis that shoots him.
Yeah, 5-7 shots and
Yeah.
a 6-shot revolver as well.
Ah. So is that saying ultimately that she needed someone else to protect her, even though she was doing pretty fine?
I don't know. I think like
Look at the half face,
I know,
white
it's-
and
I
black.
love it. The lighting's so good on this, isn't it? Just quiet as well,
Yeah.
isn't it? There's no like shouting or screaming.
Boom! Just like that, the
You can-
boogeyman's gone and
yeah.
the music kicks in.
You can see in his face that he chose that. I knew that was going to happen. Look.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You know, they kind of went into like at Halloween 6, especially like they explained that the reason Michael's immortal is because this thing called the Cult of the Thorn is keeping him alive with like Celtic magic. And you're just like, what? Like, who comes up with this shit? Like, who cares why he comes to life? Like, you don't need to know.
A little revisit.
Yeah, he could be anywhere.
Yeah. And a breathing. Very brave to make you leave the cinema knowing that he's out there.
Yeah. Sounds like Darth Vader, doesn't it?
Yeah. That is creepy as
What's that? An hour and 30 as well, like nice and
Yeah.
compact and.
You know what, I've really, I always be saying this a lot, but I really enjoyed this.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, I see as well on Netflix they put Halloween, all the rest of the Halloween
Yeah.
films as well.
The music's superb.
It is, yeah. Nice short cast as well.
Yeah. This is a masterclass. This
Yeah.
is.
You can see why it's the first and probably the best slasher still, can't you?
Because you like the characters, and there's the minimal the minimal ones that get killed, and like I say, less is more. Because when you
Yeah.
look at Friday the 13th, I'm thinking. Oh no, I find it more of a comedy. The sixth one, Jason Lives, is it?
Oh yeah, when they start to get sort of.
Yeah, one with Alice Cooper's theme doing all that, and I was thinking this more. That's more comedy, but
Yeah.
the characters in it was just like there to be off. That I can no non you
No.
know.
It's literally it's just a cookbook for how to do slashing, isn't it?
Yeah. But when you I was before, this is the reason I went off horror films, is because you can't relate to the humans.
Yeah.
But with something like this, and of course 2018, that's how you do it. You want the boogeyman to be the boogeyman.
Yeah.
And it
you
makes
don't
it
want him
scary.
to survive.
Yeah.
I mean, you kind of do just so you get a good next film, but yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, definitely.
So that's it. That's been Halloween. I'm gonna just hit stop after this music. I like how it's black and you still hear the music.
Yeah.
That is good. But a lot of time people wouldn't stay.
No, of course it wouldn't.
So, but yeah, I've really enjoyed doing that comedy track.
No,
This has been.
It's one of my favourites. I think I'll watch Halloween every year at some point.
Well, we're gonna have to do it for the next couple of years anyway, because you got Halloween Ends next year.
Is it next year?
Yes, yeah, we've got Halloween Kills at the weekend.
Oh, because we're delayed by a year with this one,
Yeah.
aren't we?
It was trailer gets released last year, and always scheduled for the big release.
Yeah.
And a couple of days later, it's like,
November.
nobody's gonna
Yeah.
wait now. Thank you, COVID. So that's been Halloween. I hope
Yeah.
you've enjoyed it as much as we have. I'm Stevie.
And Callum.